Well, first of all, I have called and talked with, in the course of this crisis, this most recent crisis, Democrat and Republican governors.
A few moments later.
In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts.
Governor Ron DeSantis just humiliated Vice President Kamala Harris. This comes after she responded to an NBC article that alleges the governor ignored her call as it pertains to the hurricane response. So in this video, we're going to show you how the governor responded. He went on a rampage. He absolutely destroyed her. And I guess the best place to start is at the very beginning and the article that kicked this whole thing off. So here's the article that was published on October 7th in the morning by NBC. They titled it, "Ron DeSantis is refusing to take Harris's call on Hurricane Helene." Now, a source familiar with the situation said he was dodging the Democratic presidential nominee's calls because they seemed political. Kamala was trying to reach out and we didn't answer. DeSantis has been in direct contact with FEMA, of course, and the president. He also went on record and said, "I didn't know that she had called. I'm not sure who they called. They didn't call me. Their characterization of it was something that they did. It wasn't anything that anybody in my office did in terms of saying it was political." So this was the article. It came out, and obviously because of the way that they titled it, it got attention. And this is just another example how a story turns out to be something that is truly not. And I believe that Kamala Harris made a huge mistake by even entertaining this article, especially if she's trying to act presidential, not like a candidate who's in a primary and she's competing against her colleagues, right? A president, I believe, wouldn't respond this way. And here's the clip of what she said.
Governor DeSantis, NBC is reporting Governor DeSantis is ignoring your calls on hurricanes, resources, and help. How does that hurt the situation here?
You know, moments of crisis, if nothing else, should really be the moment that anyone who calls themselves a leader says they're going to put politics aside and put the people first. People are in desperate need of support right now, and playing political games at this moment in these crisis situations, these are the height of emergency situations, is just utterly irresponsible, and it is selfish, and it is about political gamesmanship instead of doing the job that you took an oath to do, which is to put the people first.
Vice President Milton's arrival, what does it mean for resources?
And of course she runs away, right? But listen, let's just first talk about like my major point right up front for you. She made a political mistake. And the reason why I say that is because her job right now is to act like she's about to be the commander in chief. That's not how you answer that question. In fact, I don't even think she should have entertained it. What she should have said was, "I haven't read that article and I don't want to comment on it. Next question." Or, "Hey, that's not something I'm willing to get into when lives are being lost right now because of Hurricane Helene." Now, even a governor of a big state like Florida probably wouldn't have answered that question in that way either. And we got to hear his response to her comments when he went on Sean Hannity and responded. Here's what he said.
And so for Kamala Harris to try to say that my sole focus on the people of Florida is somehow selfish is delusional. She has no role in this. In fact, she's been vice president for 3.5 years. I've dealt with a number of storms under this administration. She has never contributed anything to any of these efforts. And so what I think is selfish is her trying to blunder into this. No. And here's the thing. She has no role. No, she has no role in this process. I'm in contact with the President of the United States. I'm in contact with FEMA director. I'm obviously managing all our state agencies. We're supporting all our local government. And I will say this. I've had storms under both President Trump and President Biden, and I've worked well with both of them. She's the first one who's trying to politicize the storm, and she's doing that just because of her campaign. She's trying to get some type of an edge. She knows she's doing poorly, and so she's playing these political games. I don't have time for political games. I've got people whose lives are on the line. I've got people whose homes and their possessions are on the line, and we are focused 100% on that mission. I'm not worried about playing her political games. And so she is being selfish by trying to blunder into this when we're working just fine.
All facts, right? And here's the deal. Why would he talk to the vice president? That doesn't make any sense, right? Like, he's responsible for his own state. President is responsible for all of the states. Yeah, they should be talking to each other, right? And so this idea that the vice president should even be commenting on this, or the idea that the governor is selfish because he didn't take her call, even if it was true and he came out and said, yeah, I ignored her call. That's his prerogative. It's his state. What do you have to do with his state? Great point. And one more thing, because this is a governor that we're talking about, and there is a hurricane that he just had to respond to, and then there's another hurricane en route at this moment, it probably wouldn't be a good idea to get into a spat with him publicly, because the news media is going to pick it up and they're going to amplify that beef. So how does that actually help her get votes? How does that actually help her become presidential? And so, of course, this did get picked up by CNN, and it came to the point where Scott Jennings, who is the only person with common sense on CNN, he laid into her political games when it comes to this hurricane response and beef with Governor DeSantis. Listen to this.
I mean, she's attacking the governor of a state that's about to get lashed with one of the most historic hurricanes we've ever seen. Is she crazy? He did not ignore her call.
She was
He did not
talking,
ignore
just
her
to be
call.
clear, she was talking broadly about the politicization of the storms.
I think she was talking about Ron DeSantis. He did not ignore her call. And in fact, according to what I've read tonight, he actually spoke to the president of the United States.
He did
Joe
speak
Biden.
with President Biden.
And he has said time and again that he and the federal government are working well together. So who here is politicizing this?
Yeah,
I
hate to agree.
Why does Abby Phillips feel the need to try to defend Kamala Harris on this particular issue? Right? Why this issue? Why are you trying to make excuses? Why are you trying to change what the perception is of what the facts really are? I mean, I just find it funny.
I actually think the facts are bad enough. When the storm came ashore, Biden was at the beach and Harris was raising money. And that was on September 26th. On September 27th, we had devastation in North Carolina. It wasn't until October the 2nd that the president mobilized the military, and it wasn't until the 5th that they mobilized 500 search and rescue out of the military. So I think there's two things going on. The immediate impacted people and what they need and what they can get. People need to consult their local officials and governors about that. But there is a conversation to be had here about spending priorities, yes, and also about presidential decision making, which in my opinion, and in the opinion of a lot of Republicans, were really, really slow.
Okay, so I'm going to continue to beat this drum. I don't believe her campaign truly wanted her to answer questions unscripted, because this is what happens. She ends up saying something that obviously comes back to bite her in the you-know-what. And so she didn't have to give a comment. And in fact, why would you comment on a situation that you guys have already been terrible at, right? Meaning the response has been terrible. The feedback has been terrible. We needed Elon Musk to go out there and establish communications. Everything about it. I mean, there's not much good coming out of this situation overall from a response perspective. Okay. And so it adds more insult to injury, if that makes sense. So when you're making political mistakes like this and you're trying to get into a beef with a governor who's not even running to be president, which is crazy, it ends up creating another problem for you. And that is sloppy communication, right? So her saying those remarks off the cuff creates an image that there's sloppy communication between her campaign and the president of the United States. And that's why when The View asked her about what's been happening in these comments, she just flat out lied.
Now, he said this morning, you've never called regarding any of the storms Florida has had since you've been vice president until apparently now, and called it political. What's your response to that?
Well, first of all, I have called and talked with, in the course of this crisis, this most recent crisis, Democrat and Republican governors. Called, taken the call, answered the call, had a conversation. So obviously, this is not an issue that is about partisanship or politics for certain leaders, but maybe is for others. Mm-hmm.
Terrible answer. F. That's a fail. What she should have said is, listen, I don't know what governor thinks is going on or what has happened, but my main focus is on providing whatever level of support or help that these governors need. And once again, sloppy communication, right? It's because she's the one that kicked off this political mistake, and it's led to this, I would call it an embarrassment, because it's not a good look for her campaign. And that's why President Biden held a press conference at the same time that this interview was going live, where he contradicts what she just said. Watch this.
As far as the governor of Florida has been cooperative. He said he's gotten all that he needs. I talked to him again yesterday, and I said, no, you're doing a great job. It's all being done well. We thank you for it. And I literally gave my personal phone number to call. So I don't know. There was a rough start in some places, but every governor from Florida to North Carolina has been fully cooperative and supportive and acknowledged what this team is doing. And they're doing an incredible job. But we got a lot more to do.
Now that sounds like an answer you would hear from a president, right? Listen, I'm still shocked that he's even taking questions. Okay, I think we both can admit that. But when you've got Sleepy Joe coming out and contradicting your messaging around this particular issue, yeah, you look bad. Now, if you're getting value from this video, please do us a favor. Like, share, and subscribe to this channel. If you want to support us further, go to the link in the description below. You can grab yourself a t-shirt or buy us a cup of coffee. Now, one of the biggest lessons in life is about picking and choosing which battles you really want to take on. And I think this battle between her and Governor Ron DeSantis is not a smart move for her. In fact, it's a stupid one at a terrible time. And when you're talking about lives are at stake, it's probably the worst thing that she should be doing, especially when you have a governor like Ron DeSantis who plays no games when it comes to taking on the media and answering questions. So, of course, after the interview with The View, here's Ron DeSantis on Fox News commenting on her antics.
You know, it's interesting. Harris is not even in the chain of command.
Yeah, what is she even doing?
She has no role in this. I mean, the idea that I should be like worrying about her when I'm focused on the task at hand is just, quite frankly, absurd. So, yes, all of our requests have been answered. We have marshaled all state resources that are available to us. It's going to be a very robust response.
Yeah, he makes a good point. And I said it earlier. What does this have to do with you and your campaign? Aren't you running to be the president of the United States? Why are you trying to get into a beef with Governor Ron DeSantis? Out of all people, by the way, just isn't a good look. And of course, this didn't stop some of these leftist reporters from trying to stir up this beef even more. And when they did that at a press conference that Governor Ron DeSantis was hosting, where he was explaining what the current plan is based on Hurricane Milton, here's how he handled that reporter.
Ask you about politics right now in terms of should.
No, I don't really want to answer questions about this. It's not a time for politics. No, excuse me, Gary. You and your publication will twist anything that's done to try to make a political agenda. That's what you do. That's how you get your clicks. I understand that. I understand that's the business model. Well, but I don't want to talk about politics because, but I have a feeling that however you do, you guys will find a way to frame it. That's just your shtick. I get it. That's fine. But I don't want to participate in it. We have had to respond to a Category 4 hurricane. We've had to prepare and now respond to something that may hit as a major hurricane, may be Category 4, may even be bigger than that. We hope that it does, but that should be the focus. And I think some of these questions are trying to create some type of political angle where there's just none there.
Wow. When you see that, you have to be asking yourself, why does she think she can just go after Ron DeSantis like that? Why? What makes her in her mind think it was a good idea to respond to that article? That's just insane. So when we take a step back from this story and look at the bigger picture, there's really three things that stands out to me. Number one, it's just a political mistake. We are about 29 days out from the election. This is the last thing you should be doing. Another hurricane is about to hit Florida. You know this is going to draw attention because it's Governor Ron DeSantis, and there's a lot of eyes on Florida right now. It's just stupid, and that's why they've been hiding her from the media. Number two, it's led to what? Sloppy communication. You've got the president of the United States contradicting, scheduling live press conferences during your own live events. and not saying the same thing that you're saying. And then when you're talking about it, you sound like you're trying to purposely campaign against the governor instead of campaigning against Donald Trump. I don't understand where she was going with that. And then obviously number 3, you just awaken a beast. Ron DeSantis is the last person you should be trying to beef with in the media. He knows how to answer questions. He can go off script. He knows his state very well. By all accounts, he's probably one of the best governors of a state. I don't think that could even be disputed. And so maybe it's a great idea for her to just focus on the campaign that just got ended by that interview with 60 Minutes, where clearly we saw what happens to her when she faced tough questions. And that is my opinion. What about yours? What do you guys think about the article that came out and how she responded? Do you think it was a great idea for her to do that? How did you think about Governor Ron DeSantis' response? How he just utterly destroyed her repeatedly. And then that she lied on The View about her role in contacting governors when it's really President Biden who is doing that. And he literally contradicted her live while she was on The View. Let us know what your thoughts are and more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Now, if you want to hear more of what I have to say about some of these lies that she's been trying to push, especially when she went on The View today, click on the video that's coming up right now.